What's going on, guys? You found Bottom Tier Collector, and I'm your host, The Bearded One. As always, thank you for liking, subscribing, and commenting on my videos, on my content. I appreciate the support big time. Anything I get from you guys out there watching the videos on the internet means a lot to me. As you can see, we got the background back. I put the collection back up. Well, what I have with me, I put up. I don't have anything to show today. No books, no hauls, nothing. I have a think piece, and I've already filmed this think piece already, but I think I can do a little bit better now that I have my thoughts gathered. And I want to touch on piracy. I think piracy is something that, believe it or not, can have a gray area. There can be a point with piracy where the lines are blurred between right and wrong. And I think, that's kind of the point of these think piece series. I want you guys to think critically. I don't really want my think pieces to be something that has a definitive yes or no answer. I want it to be okay for people to take either side of an opinion or a topic. And so this topic today, I'll say it again, piracy. It's piracy specifically to comic books. Now, if you were watching Journo's Comics and Pop Culture, shout out to Journo. Go see his channel. He likes to pull out the textbook, the dictionary definition of the topics or the words he's focusing on. I'm not going to do that. I think we all pretty much know what piracy is. If you clicked on this video, I gather you know what piracy is. It's pretty much, in my own definition, obtaining, the possession of something. You obtain ownership of something through means which is not deemed legal. Now, depending on your beliefs, political, religious, or whatever, I think we can all agree, no matter what culture you come from, what belief system you have, I think we can all agree that legality and morality are not always the same thing, right? We got, especially if you live in America, there are some states issues. We will not name these states issues, but there are some states issues, some national issues, almost always going on in this country. That the struggle is, should this be legal? Because of the morality behind the situation. What do we feel about the morality of this situation? And should it be legal? And that can, believe it or not, I know piracy seems like a cut and dry, it's wrong thing, but I don't really think that piracy is just a black and white, right and wrong situation. And we'll get into it. We will think critically, because that's what I like doing here on these think pieces. I want to think critically. I want to test my beliefs. That's how you can build yourself, become more wise, become more knowledgeable, is if you're putting your belief system to the test. That is how you can stand firm and know that you stand for that you believe in what you stand for. I know I'm getting real deep. I'm going to pull back here. I'm going to pull back. I promise this is going to be a lot more lighthearted here. So if you are, let's just say in theory, I don't know if anybody is actually for piracy. I'm sure there are, especially if you lived in the 90s. You were a fan of piracy. You Napster users, I used Kazaa. I'm not going to lie. All my music on my Zune was free. I'll admit it. YouTube's probably going to review this video and not upload it for me. Metallica, that whole Metallica scandal, for you millennials out there that remember all that, that dealt with piracy of music. There are ways of engaging in piracy in comics, and if you are against piracy, or excuse me, if you are for piracy, then you probably think, well, these companies make a lot of money anyways, whether I'm here, whether my specific individual self is purchasing comics, the industry is going to move on without me. That would be one argument somebody for piracy might have. If you were against piracy, one argument you might have against piracy, your rebuttal to that same person might be, it always starts with one person. The industry's dying, and we need comic books, not the popular culture of superheroes that is thriving. Journals Comics would argue with me that the market's healthy. I personally feel like the LCS, the brick and mortar stores, their numbers are dwindling. I do not feel like we're getting as many new readers as we would like. So somebody against piracy would say, well, you're one more person not contributing to the industry, and it's already dying as it is, and we need your help. Well, there could be more arguments either way. You could say piracy is illegal. You could say, well, I'm using these free copies as a way to read stuff I've already purchased. See, that's something. I think the people that will treat piracy as a black and white issue, a right or wrong issue, I don't think they consider that. I worked with a guy in my teenage years at a grocery store. This was back when I was big into music, and I used to be big time against piracy, huge advocate against it. And again, I admitted I used Kazaa, and I talked about my Zune, but I had grown past that. And I had gone the other way, where I was in the local community, going to the shows, buying the music. I'd become almost an activist. I wasn't protesting for music, but in my heart, I had become an activist for local music and supporting music and the arts. And I had a conversation with a guy about that. He's like, well, I download music, but I'm downloading the music I already own. I own these physical copies of these CDs. I don't want to scratch up these CDs. Their durability isn't that great. So why don't I just download a free copy for free and burn it onto a CD? And I've got the music I already own anyways, and it's a victimless crime. And I think that's something people that treat piracy as a black and white issue, they don't think about, is the possibility of there being a victimless crime. See, I was reading Spawn. I bought the Spawn compendium last fall, I think. And it expands 1 through 50. I don't have, I'm collecting Spawn, but I don't have every issue. I especially don't have 1 through 50. I think I have the first 30-something issues now. But as I was reading Spawn, I was coming to these points where Todd McFarlane left notes. Hey, this is an arc, or this moment is going to be spun out of Spawn into typically a 3-issue miniseries. Here's the title of the miniseries. And there were 3 of them in that compendium that spin off. The Violator, Angela, and Spawn Blood Feud. So I went online. I didn't own these issues. It was probably going to take me a while to hunt down these issues. You I can't just snap my fingers and the Violator, Angela, and Spawn Blood Feud miniseries are going to just drop in my lap complete. I'm going to have to shop online, or I'm going to have to go hunt in the wild, and hunting in the wild is going to take even longer, especially with the hype surrounding Spawn and the books going up and up and up. I wanted to read these miniseries, and I did not own them. So I went online, and I'm not going to tell you my process because I'm not necessarily advocating for piracy here, believe it or not. But I read the comic books for free, and it's very easy. In today's day and age, with Google and DuckDuckGo and Safari and whatever, Internet Explorer, I don't know if Netgear is still a thing. There's plenty of ways to get free comics. And I used one of these resources and read the comics. And you know what? Nobody got hurt. Image is not losing money because these are back issues. And I'm still hunting these miniseries. I'm still going to buy them. So I'm still going to be supporting an LCS. And I engaged in piracy. I read free comic books. Was that wrong of me? Did I break the law? Was I stealing comic books? Personally, I don't think it's so cut and dry. Now, so I've kind of given you the progressive side of piracy. So let's go over here. Let's think critically. Let's oppose that point of view. Let's go to the conservative side. Now we're talking about piracy of comic books. We're going to stay in context of comic books because I think piracy works a little different in comic books than it does elsewhere in other industries and other mediums. So I might hear that. But I might still want to rebuttal that argument with, we probably still should regulate and possibly shut down these free resources for comic books because it's a gateway for new readers to get into free books and only free books. And it's not incentivizing people to go out into life, to go out into the streets, into their LCSs, into the flea markets, into Books A Million or Barnes and Noble or wherever else, from major chain retailers, and buying books. Because that's how our economy works. These companies that are selling comic books need to make money. Because not only does the CEO need to make money, everybody underneath the CEO, the employees that work at these companies, they're relying on these profits. You're helping to support people, whether you think a big evil corporation like Books A Million is evil and corrupt and greedy and part of what's wrong with capitalism. I'll leave it there. I'm not going any further. So whether you believe that or not, everybody that works at these big chains and everybody that works at the LCS 2 minutes down your house, your local economy, all these employees need your money so they can take some of it for themselves, so they can support their families. So it is important to buy comic books. Now there's also another dilemma. There's also the victimless. So we kind of touched on the victimless crime aspect. What I did, reading free comics, was piracy, but it was a victimless crime. There's also the aspect of actually downloading and owning these things, putting them on a hard drive. There's a dilemma there. Technically, you're stealing trademarked and copyrighted product. And again, what did we just say? These companies, these LCSs, because really Marvel and DC and I wouldn't say all, everybody who relies on distribution, because I'm sure there's some hyper local comic book writers and producers that maybe directly ship their comic books to you. And so that's a different story. But when it comes to the big names we all think of, DC, Marvel, Image, Boom, Dynamite, Dark Horse, IDW, Aftershock. I'm sure there's some more. I can't. Behemoth. These stores have already made their money before the books even get to you. Now, this is common knowledge. If you're not new to the hobby, it doesn't take a lot of effort to come to this realization, to gain this knowledge that these companies have already made their money when Walmart buys their $5 packs, when the LCS makes their order for New Comic Book Wednesday or Tuesday if you're a DC fan, or when Books A Million and Barnes & Noble and Amazon all make their orders. That's how DC and Marvel and all, they've already made their money at that point. You're not affecting the companies. You're affecting the LCS when you commit piracy, because you're one less person going into these stores and supporting these businesses. And I've already listed a content creator. I don't want to keep naming him like I disagree with him or don't like the guy. I love Chris over at Journos. I respect the guy and his opinion. But there are people out there who would argue with me that the market is healthy. And I don't necessarily subscribe to that thought. I think the numbers show that there's a healthy number of investors and collectors and money in the hobby. I think that is healthy. But the health of the LCS and the ritual of going to the LCS, having a pull list, and you don't have to read your books. That is a different story. But I just think that ritual of going on Wednesday or weekly or monthly, that's kind of becoming an old man's game. You're seeing digital comics. I believe, now I don't want to say the numbers are overtaking physical books. In fact, I don't even think digital comics have 25% of the market. I think the numbers are kind of low. However, it's still a thing. You're seeing it with video games now. PS5 and Xbox Scarlet One S XG5 65.9. I don't know what the new Xbox console is called. I'm a Sony guy. But you're already seeing Xbox and PlayStation coming out with digital-only versions of consoles. Now, yes, they have the physical copy editions as well, but it's a thing. This used to not be a thing before. Before the new Xbox $69,000 and the PS5, it was unheard of to sell. Now, don't argue with me, computer guys that run on Steam and all that. But it was almost unheard of to sell a console that didn't have accessibility to physical copy video games. You can't see them right now, but my phone is stacked on top of physical video games. It's part of my world. It's what I know, physical video games. So yeah, let's go back to digital comics. It's a thing. You're seeing the trend in video games. Are the numbers going to continue to rise in digital comics versus physical comics? I don't know. But that would be part of my argument against some of these content creators to say the hobby isn't as healthy as you think. Because I think a lot of these market numbers come from the internet. The hobby is getting out of the brick and mortar store and they're going online. That's kind of the context people are missing here when they're arguing that the market is healthy. So, okay. I've made my point. The idea of the LCS is dying. Period. I don't think it's up for debate. The numbers are dwindling, and COVID really expedited that. We can cry tears offline. That's not the point. That's not why we're here. I would tell these piracy people illegally downloading comic books, you are becoming another person that is not going to the LCS. You are contributing to the LCS dying. Hold up. There's a rebuttal there. There's a dilemma here. I've been saying all video, this is not cut and dry. This is not right and wrong. This is not black and white. Right? Where's the dilemma here? Well, the dilemma is for people without the ability to go to an LCS. There could be multiple ways you can't go to an LCS to support a store. Or go online. So there could be multiple reasons you can't purchase comics at all. That's kind of the root of what I want to get to. So the dilemma is, I don't have enough money to buy digital or physical books. You know, it's either going to come to gas money or comics. Or I don't have an LCS near me. Or I don't have a computer. I mean, I think a lot of us are spoiled here in the community. Some people may not have a computer. They may not have access to the internet. Now, how are these people without access to the internet going to pirate? I don't know. I just contradicted myself. So I'm just going to laugh here, and we're going to keep moving with the argument. But yeah, maybe it's not easy for you. Maybe you're naive. Maybe you don't know how to buy digital comic books. Maybe you don't know what Comixology is, or discount comic book service is, or final order cutoff. Maybe you don't know what any of this is, or Amazon. It could be possible you don't know what Amazon is. So, how would you get into the hobby? Well, there's an option. There's piracy. And the dilemma with this is, well, these books are not being bought anyways. So, there's no revenue gained or lost here. I'm either not going to have these books at all, period, whatsoever, or I can download these books and have something to read. See what I'm saying here? It's not so black and white. All right, guys. I think that was a fun thought experiment. I really think I got most of what I wanted to say out. Give me a comment. What do you think about piracy? Is it strictly a legal matter? Is it just you're stealing? Shame on you. Go out there and support your LCS. Get it online. Go shop on Amazon and DCBS. Or are you a fight the power, American greed, capitalism, down with the man, I'm going to get my free comics? Whether these evil, greedy corporations don't like it or not. Or are you in the middle? Are you someone that says victimless crime here? You know, I understand that bottom tier here, he wanted to read these books as he was reading the compendium to get the full story. And I understand he's going to buy these books later. So, okay, he pirated them. He is going to vindicate and justify that piracy later down the road. And I also understand there are less fortunate people out here that their only access to comic books is piracy. And these books, the statistics on sales and stuff are not affected either way by these people just having free books, because they're not going to get them either way. There are people that get free books legally. Let me just add one more thing. There are people that only get free books legally. Free Comic Book Day is coming up in 2 days. Less than 48 hours. Are they pirating? Are they pirating? These people that go into comic book stores only on Free Comic Book Day and only pick up the free comic books? Is that piracy? Because they're obtaining free comic books? I mean, let's get real here. It's just a different source of free comic books. All right, guys. Again, comment whether you agree, disagree, gray area. Thank you for making it to 27 minutes. I hope you found this, I don't want to say educational. That would be full of myself. But I hope you found this enriching. I hope this was a fun thought experiment. And I hope you will come back again for more content.